you guys? Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Brittana and we are back with another video. In today's video, as you can tell by the title, we're talking all things motherhood and parenting. So let's get right into this video. My channel, welcome again. I create content all about lifestyle, holistic living, wellness, motherhood, fashion, veganism, and just so much more. We do sprinkle a little, eco-friendly living, sustainable living here and there as well. So definitely hit that notifications bell because I do post content every week. So if you've been following me for a while, you know that I create a lot of content about motherhood and parenting. If you are new here, like I said, welcome again. Please go ahead right now, pause this video, check out my birth story, my natural birth story, as well as a few of my other like holistic postpartum videos. And I bring all of that up because it ties into what this video is all about. I wanted to create a video for like new moms, new parents, but even if you ain't a mom yet, even if you're not planning to have kids yet, this is still for you because you feel like you can still share this with other people. And essentially I wanted to add to the plethora of like information that's already out there on this topic. So my son is 2. Woo woo. He turned 2 in July, and essentially I felt like right now would be the perfect opportunity to like share with you guys my hardships, my challenges, share with you the struggles, everything that I've gone through from not only the first year and birth, but the second year as well. I mean, he just turned 2, but still there's a lot that's been happening already. Also tap into like what I would do differently with when that time comes, maybe a potential second child. Just to jump right into this, I think I'm gonna tie like birth and like my pregnancy together. So essentially what I would like change, well, for the most part, if you like to see my birth story, I had an amazing birth, not gonna lie, and I don't think there's anything really and truly that I would change with that. The only thing would probably be like the location. So if you don't know backstory, I did have a I made it kitted birth at a birthing center, and so baby number 2, not pregnant right now, but if that was to come in the future, I would have a home birth. Mainly because of the fact that I liked the experience of going to the birthing center, but I would like to just be in my own home. I feel like there's something about creating your own space and already being comfortable in your own space that allows you to essentially, have a better birth, at least in my opinion. In terms of my pregnancy, I think my pregnancy went very, very well as well. It was kind of a smooth transition as well. But I would say that I probably would do a little bit more of like exercising. I did yoga, I did the prenatal and like postnatal like workouts and stuff like that, but essentially I didn't do like the actual core exercises. So now I got the little mommy pouch, and I'm not gonna lie to y'all, that would be something that I will definitely focus on baby number 2. And then in terms of like preparation for my birth, like I said, to be honest, there's not that much I want to speak on with this because, like I said, it really did go as planned. Well, yes and no, it didn't go as planned. But for the most part, I would definitely prepare my meals or have someone prepare my meals for me prior to me giving birth. That was something that I wanted to do that I didn't get a chance to do. So if there was to be a baby number 2, I would most definitely have like my sister or my mom or somebody like come, or maybe do like a Hello Fresh and just do something where I can have like freezer meals like already prepared, so that when that time comes, I'm not really thinking about to kind of really not get into like the juicy part. So I would say the first thing that I would like do maybe differently would be family support and like community. So I'm the type that is like super head-on, super like strong-headed, likes to do things myself, DIY everything myself. And I think that when we lived in New York, it was a little more difficult for me to have that family support because it was literally just me and my partner. And I'm proud of myself because your girl was doing the daggone thing. But however, I think that now that I'm living in another state and I have a little bit more of my family here, it shows me so much. It shows me how much more I value family, but also it shows me like how much of that community support actually helps. And essentially like now I can take some time so I go do things that I need to do for myself and have my family assist with, if I want to create content like I'm doing now, I can have my family here watching my son, and I don't have to be thinking like, oh my god, am I spending too much time with him, all that good stuff. Because like I said, when I was in New York, I did have like parks, I did join join like some of the apps that I mentioned in other videos, like Peanut and things of that nature, just to create that community and give my son that chance to be social. But like I said, it's not the same. Even like postpartum, especially when you're starting to kind of go through things mentally, and I don't want nobody just to tell you postpartum is just like that fourth trimester, that first for a couple of months, first couple of weeks. Literally, it could be up to the first 2 years. Don't quote me on it, but literally we'll get into that part later. So essentially, like I said, having that family support to me would be very, very crucial, because like I said, if you are having a baby, you know, sometimes you're not gonna be feeling like wanting to do laundry and things of that nature. So yeah, that would be like the number one thing that I wanted to kind of like focus on. So as I just mentioned, like I said, family support to me is very, very, very important. However, this kind of ties into the next point. The reason why I think that's important is because for the most part, like at least with me, like I said, I like to do everything myself. Even like after I had my son, I literally same night went home, was already in mommy mode, and I literally never gave my chance, like my body, the chance to kind of like rest, which is like another point I'll bring up in a second. And so like I said, having that some type of support really is important, because you really do want to rest your body and give yourself the chance that is needed, your body the chance it needs to heal. And that kind of ties, like I'm gonna piggyback off of that point and kind of tie that to like my next point of like resting. So that, like, y'all, you know how to say sleep with a baby sleep? That is not gonna happen unless you literally have that family support. I didn't sleep when the baby slept. Like I literally had stuff. I was trying to be work from home mom, still trying to create content, still trying to do a lot of stuff, and I feel like doing all of that was fun and dandy and I'm proud of myself. However, like on the real deal, I feel like it kind of leads to burnout after a while. So you really do want to, as much as possible, to like rest your body and allow your body to naturally heal itself when you can, which ties into the third point of protecting your energy, protecting your peace, protecting your mental space. Give yourself grace. I think that's essentially what I'm trying to say. You want to give yourself the grace that is needed to heal, to appreciate your body, listen to your body. Look what you've done. You created a whole human being. And if you're like, it's just you and your partner and you guys don't have the family support, you guys need to like equally give yourself that space to do whatever is needed to keep your mental sanity in order. Because trust me, after having a baby, things definitely change, sometimes for the better and sometimes it just for the worst. And I'm not even gonna lie to y'all, and I say worse really loosely, because I don't mean necessarily, oh, y'all gonna get a divorce, or you and your parents, things can just, any situation can essentially happen. And I know I'm just kind of rambling, but there's a point, there's a method to my madness, there's a point here. So the main overall point is, like I say, maintaining your peace and protecting your energy. And there's gonna be a lot of times where, especially as a new parent, there's people that's gonna come in and want to like voice their opinions and tell you how to parent, especially the older folks. No shade to y'all, but there's a lot of like older generational stuff that, in my opinion, needs to be like unlearned. And you can take what you want. I think that's the beauty about parenting. You can take what you want, see what works for you and your family, create new traditions and all of that, and go from there. And that's essentially what we did. And so I think for the most part, like what I think would change for baby number 2, if that would happen, would be more or less to vocalize. Like I am still like a new mom in a sense, so a lot of times if there's older parents or people that have opinions, because especially if they have like multiple kids, they'll try to tell you, oh, you should do this, you should do this. A lot of times I'll kind of like second guess it, or like second guess myself and my own intuition when it comes down to it, and instead of just trusting that, no, like you're making the right decision. Like if you want a gentle parent, like be that gentle parent. Like if you want to like be vegan, like which we are, and I definitely am strong about that. Like if you want to have a vegan baby, let your baby be vegan and do that, you know what I mean? So I say all of that to say, like I said, just protect your peace, because sometimes people will kind of like shame you and bash you for maybe how you view things or how you want to do things. And if you protecting your space and creating moments to yourself to like just go inward and focus on like yourself, and just know and trust that you are doing like the damn thing, like you'll be all right. Okay, so the next point that I wanted to talk with you guys about is like breastfeeding, feeding, picky eating, like just feeding. And I want to start with the breastfeeding because of the fact that like we always hear different things on like the topic of breastfeeding, like you should do this, you shouldn't do this, and that, and third. I just want to share my personal experience. I wanted to solely breastfeed, and I am doing the majority of the breastfeeding. When I had my son, I definitely was like all about like just straight breastfeeding. I didn't want to go into this formula route mainly because of like certain products that have certain chemicals and just nasty, harmful ingredients that I just did not want to put in my baby's system right off the bat. I wanted to give him a fresh start. Let's you know, that kind of thing. But essentially what I think I would do differently like the second time around is pump more. And because I solely wanted to breastfeed, y'all, like I was that mom really trying to be like, oh, I'm not gonna baby the bottles, girl. Yeah, no, stop playing with yourself. I definitely did the bottles with breast milk, but I would definitely, baby number 2, definitely do that differently. I would definitely pump early on. I did pump, but not as much because like for some reason I was so hesitant and so afraid of like the labels of like, oh my gosh, she's finally pumping. Oh my gosh, she's like using the bottle, that like it literally sounds so ridiculous now. But it goes back to the other point of like literally don't care about what people say. I would definitely pump more so that way my milk supply would be like much fuller. I didn't have like too much of a struggle like latching or anything of that nature, thankfully. But I did go through that whole cluster feeding where like the baby would like eat like a one setting and then not eat for a few hours and then like eat another setting. And I'm probably not even explaining cluster feeding right, but it's just like the way like we were doing it, it was just so like confusing to the point where I'm like, I don't even know if I'm breastfeeding, and I almost did kind of like want to give up, but I didn't. He's 2 and we still breastfeeding in this house, okay? And I know that sounds crazy, so there will be another video on that later. However, that would probably be what I would do differently. I did like to store my breast milk in like glass mason jars, so I would do that again. But like I said, me pumping more would allow me to do that more. And then I did use the Haka when we would like travel, but I think next time I would definitely use like the little Haka like silicone pump to use when we're breastfeeding to help with the process as well. And then it's tying that to the whole like picky eating and baby-led weaning right now. We did do both, and I honestly recommend people doing both only because of the fact that then I feel like if you just do one or the other, I feel like there tends to be a point where your kid maybe is like afraid of like textures or doesn't end up liking textures and things of that nature. I did both. I started off with baby-led weaning. My baby's first like food was like a piece of like green apple, sounds crazy, and like mashed avocado. Like that was what he liked. And essentially I think doing that allowed him to like to get used to the texture, get used to like eating independently, and then having the purees as well helped because then like I said, he's used to like that softer texture, so when we give him soups and stuff like that, he's okay. Now what I would say that I would do differently with baby number 2 if that time was the approach would be to literally be consistent, because a lot of times like, you know, your baby will kind of like frown his or her face and like spit out food, and I think I definitely was not as consistent when it came down to the foods that my son did not like. So now as he's older, he's like, if he don't like it, he literally does not like it. At least like in the very beginning when he didn't like it, I could give it to him like a few days later and he'll try it again. Now it's like that's not happening. So that would be like what I would, you know, do differently. The point that I want to touch on now is all about sleep. I definitely did the co-sleeping, and I am a believer of co-sleeping. I feel like it helped with our connection and it helped with a lot of things in terms of like just making my life easier, to be honest, when it came time to feeding. I did the night nursing, and I think baby number 2, what I would do differently with the whole night nursing is essentially not to do it as much, like not let it be a more of like a codependency type of thing. So like with my son, what I would do is he got so dependent on it to the point where instead of him just using it to feed at night, he would use it as like a pacifier. And I feel like I would do that differently with the second child, in the sense of like making sure that I allow the baby time to self-soothe. I would allow the baby to not night nurse as much, like literally try to be as, I guess, strict with it, because obviously sometimes naturally you get tired or whatever the case may be and things happen. But I feel like now, even as he is 2, he don't want nothing else before he goes to bed but mommy's little boobies. And you know, as he gets older, it's gonna be a struggle, which I'll touch on I guess later, maybe do an updated video on that to see how we transition from that. But tying it back to the overall point about sleep, we did the co-sleeping, and essentially when he turned 1, that's when we moved his little bassinet into his room, and he had his own little, like, you know, chance to sleep by himself, and we started to like introduce that to him. But because of the fact that he's still nursed, I think it made it very difficult, at least for me as a parent, to have to get up every night like multiple times throughout the night just to feed him, and then like try like get back into like a sleep routine. Like it threw me off, especially coming from the fact that I was so used to like co-sleeping and like literally just like popping him on the boob, popping him off the boob, and like literally going back to sleep like that. And then towards like when he was like 15, 16 months, we got him the big boy bed, and then he kind of like transitioned to like feeding lesser, so that definitely helped. So I think me having a more like stricter routine, or more of like a forced, not even, I don't want to say, this sounds so horrible, not forced routine, not strict, because I feel like we did very good. And right, even now he sleeps on his own in his bed at night, or whatever the case may be. It's still, we do still have some feedings throughout the night, so there's not that much I would change there. But I think would just be more of like a solid foundation of like, okay, at this time we're gonna like, you know, start weaning you off the boob more, so that way you can sleep more throughout the night, and kind of going from there. Okay, so the next point is really just about like picking your battles wisely, choosing your struggles, choosing your hardships, choosing your challenges, because when it comes down to parenting and like, you know, parenting is hard enough, and when it comes down to it, like there's some things, like I said, me myself, I'm a DIY person. I'm a type of person I like to do it myself. I don't like to ask for help for the most part. But once I had my son, it kind of like, I've evolved to knowing that it's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to allow people to help you, you know. So for me, I would definitely say like pick those battles. Like if you don't have to like do certain things yourself, have someone else do it. Allow that to happen. Like when I had my son, I'm like, you know, the one that does the laundry. Like that's what happens in our household. I like to do the laundry. And living in New York, we didn't have a laundry like, you know, room in our house, or even like a system in our house. I had to go to the laundromat. That was not happening. I'm not doing that. So we did get a laundry service, and I would definitely say baby number 2, we're doing that again, or we'll have family to help us with that, because I feel like I said, sometimes it's difficult to try to manage everything, especially being a new mom and a new parent in general. Like I said, different, like same thing with the food. If you know you have parents or friends or somebody that wants to come and help, you know, maybe instead of have them coming to watch, maybe have them help with cleaning, have them help clean, have them help with maybe laundry, have them help maybe make some meals, have them maybe prep if you do need to. If you're a work from home parent, then yeah, maybe have them like take on the load of maybe watching your kid, if you know, if you're able to do. Okay, so the next point that I wanted to touch on really quick is all about like shifts. When it comes down to shifts in your family, shifts in your mindset, shifts in your like relationships in general. So I wanted to bring this up in I wanted to talk about this mainly because of the fact that, you know, when you become a new parent, naturally your mindset shifts, and you start to, even when you become pregnant, like not even just becoming a parent like with the baby, so when you become pregnant, naturally for most moms and dads, I would say, or like to believe, that your mindset starts going into like that parenting mode. So you kind of start thinking about how you want to parent, how you want to, you know, raise your child, and things of that nature, and that's okay. And so basically the point of this, me saying all of this, is to say that when those thoughts start to come and you start to decide how you want to parent, essentially you need to be constantly reminding yourself of how you want to parent, because there are going to be people that are going to come to you and tell you, hey, this is not right, you shouldn't do that. And not saying that you can't take advice, not saying that you can't listen to them or anything of that nature, but essentially you want to be mindful of how you parent, so when that time comes for there to be any type of like strife or anything of that nature that, you know, that comes about, you'll know to stand your ground, and you know that this is what it is. And essentially, like I said, you know, a few minutes ago, that's kind of something that I would do differently, in the sense of, well, not even differently, because like I said, I do that now. I would do it more. I think that's better to say. I would definitely do more of it, like the being vocal when it comes down to anybody's opinions about how I maybe parent my child, or you know, whatever the case may be. I definitely take opinions, but I definitely am very mindful of like, okay, if I want to, like I said, have a vegan family, we're gonna have a vegan family. So that's essentially like what we do with that. Another thing with the whole shifts is understanding that there are going to be times where like your friendships and your family relationships will change, because of the fact that you are now a parent. So not only are you thinking differently, sometimes it may come about where they may, you know, not be able to relate to you, especially if you have friends that don't have kids. It may come about where they may not be as relatable. They may not understand certain things, where when at one point you were the one to like go out every weekend, or you know, hang with, you know, your family, always having family nights and stuff like that. So now when you have a kid, it's like, no, like I don't want to hang out every night. I don't want to, you know, I don't even want my child spending the night just yet, because they're not ready for that. Like having them understand that, and trust that if these people are meant to be in your life, they'll be there. And I'm not saying saying that you gotta cut anybody off, because I'm not completely there where I'm like just cut everybody off, but you know, to put people where they belong, meet them where they are at, and just sometimes leave them where they're at, and you know, kind of go from there. I also want to mention that it's also okay to manifest the people that you need to be in your life. And I say that to say that even when I became a mom, I knew that off the bat I needed mom friends that are like-minded, in the sense of, okay, I'm not drinking, I don't smoke, I need mom friends that relate to me in the sense of, oh, you're vegan, or at least like, you know, you understand our lifestyle, so when we go out, it'll be on this, we're like kind of on the same page, you know. And like I said, luckily I've manifested that, and I have friends and family that at least understand and you know, respect my lifestyle, to the point where when we have birthday parties or when we have gatherings, they'll at least do their best to provide something for us, or they'll at least, like, you know, be okay with me bringing stuff for my son. I mentioned too that when you change your expectations of your friendships, I think it'll make it easier when it comes down to having these like shifts, because like I said, sometimes you'll have different opinions, you won't be as relatable, and at least when you change those expectations, like, and I don't want to say lower your standards, but just to change the expectations of not expecting them to be always hitting you up or whatever the case may be, or when you have new friends or new mom parents, change those expectations too, of like, okay, we're not gonna always do play dates, we're not gonna always do different things, and I think that will kind of help as well. Okay, so the next point that I wanted to touch on is all about gentle parenting. So in the sense of, this is something that I'm still freshly new, and still something that I'm like working on, but right now my son is at the phase where he's just saying no, 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 and it's just like, I can't. Look, I'm not the one, little boy. Like, I'm not the one. However, I do try my best to be as gentle as possible. And I'm saying this jokingly, but I really am, and I have been since he was like born, to go into the mindset of unlearning a lot of things that I was like learning, trying to break generational curses, trying to break generational behaviors and things of that nature, because of the fact that I know that who and what I'm trying to raise. I want to, you know, start new traditions. I want to start new ways of living and things of that nature. So I know in order for me to implement those type of behaviors and thoughts and beliefs into my son, I have to like first work on me. So this is another one of those things where like I will not necessarily change or do differently with my second child. I think when that time comes, I'll kind of like have more of an understanding then. And I feel like if anything, it's just more to be me like adding to what it is I'm learning now. But I think the main thing is patience. Because baby, like, I really be trying, and sometimes he be like testing my patience, so it's good to just like do that. And I feel also one thing that I'm learning is to just kind of have like a change in perspective as well, and just know that like his behavior and how he is not a reflection of me, it's not a reflection of like my raising him, it's just him being a child, and knowing that okay, this is what he's doing, and my job is just to like only enhance, you know, his learning and help him grow into like a well-rounded individual. And I also want to just kind of talk about the fact that like it's okay to like let your child lead. Like a lot of times you hear parents like, oh no, that's okay, now you can't do this, you can't do that. But I do in a lot of ways still do like that, try to like structure his like way of leading or way of living, and allowing him to lead when he can. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to touch on is potty training. So off the bat, I've learned about elimination communication from when my child was born. So if you've never heard of it, essentially that is the process of like eliminating diapers essentially, and like basically potty training your child from the first, like as soon as they come out of the womb, like learning their cues, putting them on the toilet from like day one. To some that may be extreme, to others it's like, no, this is just the way of life. And for me, I like the idea of it, but we're not consistent. And y'all, I'm not even gonna lie to y'all, I'm not the type to be okay with messes constantly on the floor. And since we did play around with it, now my son's at the age where he feels like he can just go and run around and like pee on the floor, and I don't like that. So it's just like the struggle is kind of like there with that. And I think baby number two, what we would do is do the elimination of communication, definitely cloth diaper, because right now we do still diaper, but we use like the only like the natural, organic, biodegradable diapers. But for the most part, I think that's what we do, definitely the cloth diapering, and most likely the elimination and communication, because we, you know, things happen. So I think that would be what I would do differently. And then with that, I would be way more consistent, because like I said, right now I'm more lenient. But I say all that to say that, you know, the main thing is about being consistent. Like, I know my son's cues. Like, if he has to go to the potty, you know, he'll go sit in the corner, hide, and he, like, you know, makes a little face, and, you know, he doing the number 2. Or, like, you know, right, also now he's at the age where he's, like, he'll say pee-pee, or he'll pull on his little pants, and whatever the case may be, and he'll say potty, or give me little signs that he has to go to the bathroom. But I feel like as long as I'm consistent, I can literally, like, knock that out. And, like, realistically, on a realistic basis, I would say my son is about like 75-80% potty trained, but it's a work in progress. Some days he's literally like on the toilet ready to go, because we'll read a little book with him, but then sometimes it's like he'll miss, and you know, it just will not happen. So another thing I wanted to mention really quick was, you know, all about the whole developmental and like the growth skills and their you know, milestones. I only wanted to bring this up because I noticed that, like, you know, as my son has gotten older, I haven't really been paying as much attention to his milestones compared to when he was, like, you know, first born. Because when they're that young, like from the newborn stage up into the age of 2, some of the milestones are super like significant, like walking and even talking, saying, you know, the few words and stuff like that, which is where he's at now. And I definitely did the necessary like due diligence in terms of like watching different YouTube videos, researching, looking at blog articles, just to keep track of their different growth skills, like their fine motor skills, their cognitive skills, gross motor skills, language skills, social skills. And I only bring all of this up because I want to just encourage you to, as like a parent, to just, you know, it would be nice to be very mindful of where they are at, just so that way if they are at that stage, you can encourage, and you can encourage them, and you can be aware of what it is that, you know, you and their child may be doing. So essentially I bring all of that up, like with my son, you know, when he was, you know, getting ready to walk, around like 8 months is when he took his first steps, and he actually fully started walking around like 9 months. And I only bring that up because I feel like if I wasn't paying attention to it then, I would have not encouraged it as much. Like with his talking, he was talking early too, saying like little words here and there, and he says a lot of like words now, but it's just a matter of putting the, you know, words together into a full sentence. And so if I feel like if I were to have paid more attention to the language skill aspect of where he should be at between 18 to 24 months, you know, 2 years old and things of that nature, I feel like I would be able to encourage him more, you know, when it comes down to certain developmental skills with that as well. So I just hope that helps anyone,
like spiel,
when it comes
it's
down
just
to
really learn to like the art of like
aspect
letting go
of
and just
the
like
child's
trusting
life.
your intuition, trusting that you got this, trust that you are an amazing parent. Like I said, people are gonna have their thoughts, they're gonna have their opinions. I'm sure there's people watching me like, what is she talking about? How does she know? She doesn't make any sense, blah blah blah, woo woo woo. But I feel like once you like get to that phase where you just really trust yourself, and like I said, trust your child. They'll know. They may not completely vocalize it, they completely like verbalize what it is that they want to say, but they have feelings and emotions too. And I feel like when they try their best to communicate or vocalize it, listen to them and let them like guide you to be that parent that you need to be as well. So now I have something a little special for you guys. A few people, like over the years, I have gotten questions about, you know, how I do certain things, and I actually have my sister here. She doesn't want to be on camera right now, so I'm gonna have her actually read the questions, and then I'm going to answer them for you guys.
Alrighty, so as far as questions, we had somebody that DM'd you, and it said, when it comes to traveling with a baby that's still breastfeeding, what are some tips in regards to, like, you know, do you know, go to the bathroom always, but you want to be a part of the situation? How do you get around that?
That's a good question. Now, I think this is a really good question because I actually am one of those moms that are actually hesitant of breastfeeding in public. So for me, if you don't care, then I say do your thing. Just have a nice little nursing cover. That's what they're for, or a nice blanket, and do your thing wherever you at. Now, like if you're in the car, I would say like maybe having like a little nursing cups that you could put in your bra, or like a portable like little pump that you can use, so that if you're traveling and going on a road trip or something like that, then you can, like say, have extra milk to like maybe put it in the bottle for your baby. If you are traveling maybe on a plane, same thing goes there. On the plane, like when we recently went on a trip, I literally just put my son like on the boob, covered him with a little like scarf, and we was good. We went straight to sleep. And then nowadays most places accommodate breastfeeding moms, so I want to say that very loosely, but they do. Like some places, like some airlines have like the nursing rooms or the little nursing areas where you can go and nurse and breastfeed your child.
So the next question, she also DM'd and said she had watched one of your videos and you were talking about eating your umbilical cord, and she wanted to know how does that process work and everything like that.
So I think what she meant was my placenta, and I didn't eat my placenta. I actually, it's a whole process in itself. I think I talked about it in one of my videos, but essentially what I did was encapsulate. So I did do the placenta encapsulation. My midwife actually offered that, and I knew I wanted to take that because of the fact that the placenta actually does have a lot of like benefits. I am in no like form the type to actually like ingest it, so I knew that was going to be a tricky problem. But me doing the placenta encapsulation definitely was good. So we just got it like dried and put the little powder form, and then we put it into the capsules. And then me and my partner both took some. And then in terms of my placenta like itself, I actually got a print. I could probably insert a picture. It's not here, so I'll probably insert a picture of the actual print. And then the umbilical cord, my midwife also just made a little keepsake for that.
And also tell them, how much was it?
So everybody charges different prices. My midwife actually charged, I think it was like $400 altogether. And if you think about the process that it goes into, I know it's like a little steep, but when you actually think about the process and the labor that goes into the process of drying it and making sure that like everything's going well for you to be able to consume it, it actually works out well. And like I said, for me, I didn't just get the capsules. It was a 30-day supply, but I also got the little print of my encapsule of the placenta, as well as the like umbilical cord keepsake.
Okay, so this was actually from a guy. He mentioned that his wife just had a baby. What do you recommend him to do as far as being supportive, as far as being that like, like what he doesn't, he's kind of like freaking out here, and he wants to make sure that he's giving his all to his wife.
Well, I only going to speak on my personal experience. I know this probably won't work for everybody, but I think the main thing is just to remain calm, because we as women or people in general, we kind of feed off of each other's energy. So if you're panicking and I'm already over here trying to handle everything, I don't need a second child. So let's just start with that. I need your support, and I think the best way to do that is like giving her the space to heal when she needs to heal. So if she asks for help, allow her to give her that extra help that she needs. Support her, maybe offer her some water, because we as breastfeeding moms, if she does decide to do that route, need to make sure we stay hydrated. So maybe doing it not in like a little like a nagging way, oh make sure you stay watered, but just maybe placing the water next to her bedside or things of that nature. Asking her what she needs help with, maybe occasionally taking the baby and doing your fatherly thing here and there as well. Like I said, if you guys are financially at that point where you can like afford certain things, maybe hire a Molly maid to help clean up, maybe hire a laundry service or a meal delivery service if you don't do the cooking. And then also just understand, especially as a new mom, sometimes we would like our partners to kind of like defend us, in the sense when we have our parents come over or our in-laws come over, it may be difficult for us to vocalize certain things that we need for ourselves. So that's where you would come in to be like, hey, no, like she needs a nap, or actually no, we would like for you to not come this weekend. We would we would need you to do this instead of that. If you're gonna watch the baby, maybe like help in that way as well.
Alrighty, so this next question is from Tatiana. She also DM'd you as well. She had asked, she's vegan, but she just had a baby and she wants to make sure that her baby is getting the most out of, plus she's breastfeeding. So are there any supplements, she's saying, is there any supplements that you take personally that you're giving your baby currently?
Yeah.
And
yeah, that's a good question. I think for me, as I always mention, I always say I'm not an expert in this at any form. However, I would say number one, do your research. That goes without saying. Definitely consult with any like doctors or pediatricians, because I don't want to tell you the wrong thing, because not everything works for everybody. However, if you are primarily vegan, especially if you're raising like a vegan baby, or having that type of diet, I say I'm gonna talk about me and the baby. So for me, I would supplement with like at least a postnatal, since you're breastfeeding, a postnatal supplement. I use the brand Naturello, the breastfeeding moms, because it has a lot of natural herbs and other things that are great for your milk production. I as well as the baby both have like a vegan vitamin D, because that's very, very good to have too. I also will supplement with a B12 for the baby, and we both take iron, so that way, I know they said the baby gets the iron the most from the mom, especially for the first like couple of months or whatever the case may be, like I think it's the first 6 months, and then after that, that's when you should start supplementing. So yeah, that's what I do. I do vitamin C for me and the baby as well, and I think that is like the main stuff. Oh, and then a probiotics for me and the baby as well. So I have my probiotics, and then I have a baby like supplemental like probiotics as well.
So this next question is from one of your subscribers. She said, lately I have been dealing with postpartum depression. It's been kind of hard being a new mother, as well as not having much help from my significant other. And what is your tips when it comes to helping and things of that nature?
Okay, that's actually like a really good question. So I don't even know really where to begin. So to be honest with y'all, when I first had my son, I told myself that if I could have my son naturally, well, actually my friend said this, she said if I could have my son naturally, my postpartum would be amazing. So that's what I told myself. I had my son naturally, and for the most part, my postpartum was amazing. I would say that for the first like year going into like being like my mother, being like a mother and things of that nature, I didn't actually go through. I had my mommy bouts of like mommy blues as they call it, but I never actually had depression until like recently. Like there was some like wave that just kind of like hit me in the face of just like, I guess you could say depression. And I think it was more or less stress related, because it was the fact that like we were in the preparation of moving. We were in the process of, like I said, my son going through his waves of trying to do homeschool and trying to potty train. And us as mothers try to do and be everything for our child. I want the best for my child. So that means me staying up till the wee hours of the night planning birthday parties, or planning adventures, or planning his homeschool curriculum, or whatever the case may be, on top of working from home, on top of trying to be the spouse that you're referring to, being a spouse and the caretaker of your your whole household, it does become overwhelming, and it does lead to burnout. And I think my personal experience with that was, like I said, mainly stress related, because of the fact that like at that time I didn't have the assistance that I didn't have that assistance or the like extra support from my family either, because I was living with just me and my spouse. We didn't have family out where we were staying. It was just me and him, and he's obviously this major provider in the family. And even though I work from home here and there, it does fall back on me to take care of the house, do all the cooking, do all the cleaning, and essentially make sure that the baby is taken care of. So when you're trying to mix all of that together, and also try to focus on yourself and things of that nature, it does become overwhelming. Now, with all of that being said, some things that I do or have done to kind of help myself is, honestly, the first thing is just be gentle with myself and know that God got me. Because at the end of the day, this is for like a better a better purpose. Like, try to your best, if you can, to focus on like the good things. So if you do have a spouse, and it might not be a significant other, it may be a mom, it may be a dad, and if you happen to be a single parent dealing with this, there are support groups nowadays on Facebook, and like so you can join like Peanut and other communities where you can find that support group where if you just need somebody to pick up a phone and call and be like, listen, I just need somebody to hear me out. Nowadays with social media, they have that, so you can start there. Seek out answers that way. I like to journal, so I'll write out my problems, and I like to do methods of manifestation and try to manifest and visualize what my ideal life looks like, and know that okay, me and my partner are working towards a greater goal. So there are going to be times where I may feel like I'm not getting as much support from him that I need, or as much care that I need from him, but I trust that okay, his intentions are pure, and what he's doing is for the greater goal. He's working toward a greater goal. Also, communicate. If you're in the partnership, I think that's something I had to learn too, where sometimes you have to communicate. Sometimes you have to tell your partner, hey, I need this space, I need help, I need this assistance. I need you to watch the baby for a few hours so I can get some work done. We need to come together to figure out how we can tag team and make this happen. You know, and then once I was able to do that, that has actually helped me forming that not only a better bond with him, but then it helped us because now he knows, okay, hey, there's times where Brit just needs to check out. She needs some space to herself. So I'm going to give her that space, let her take a nice little bath. I'm going to watch the baby, you know, and do what I can to make sure that she feels loved and supported and vice versa.
So this next question is from one of your subscribers. She said, lately I have been dealing with postpartum depression. It's been kind of hard being a mother, a new mother, as well as not having much help from my significant other. What is your tips when it comes to helping and things of that nature?
Okay, that's actually like a really good question. So I don't even know really where to begin. So to be honest with y'all, when I first had my son, I told myself that if I could have my son naturally, well, actually my friend said this, she said if I could have my son naturally, my postpartum would be amazing. So that's what I told myself. I had my son naturally, and for the most part, my postpartum was amazing. I would say that for the first like year going into like being like my mother, being like a mother and things of that nature, I didn't actually go through. I had my mommy bouts of like, you know, mommy blues as they call it, but I never actually had depression until like recently. Like there was some like wave that just kind of like hit me in the face of just like, you know, I guess you could say depression. And I think it was more or less stress related because it was the fact that like we were in the preparation of moving. We were in the process of, like I said, my son going through his waves of trying to do homeschool and trying to potty train. And us as mothers try to do and be everything for our child. I want the best for my child. So if that means me staying up till the wee hours of the night planning birthday parties or planning, you know, adventures or you know, planning his homeschool curriculum or whatever the case may be, on top of working from home, on top of trying to be the spouse that you're referring to, being a spouse and the caretaker of your, you know, your whole household, it does become overwhelming and it does lead to burnout. And I think my personal experience with that was, like I said, mainly stress related because of the fact that like at the time I didn't have the assistance that I didn't have that assistance or the like extra support from my family either, because I was living, you know, with just me and my spouse. We didn't have family out where we were staying. It was just me and him, and he's obviously this major provider in the family. And even though I work from home here and there, it does fall back on me to take care of the house, do all the cooking, do all the cleaning, and essentially make sure that the baby is taken care of. So, you know, when you're trying to mix all of that together and, you know, also try to focus on yourself and things of that nature, it does become overwhelming. Now, with all of that being said, some things that I do or have done to kind of help myself is honestly, the first thing is just be gentle with myself and know that God got me, because, you know, at the end of the day, this is for like a better, you know, a better purpose. Like try to your best if you can to focus on like the good things. So if you do have a spouse, you know, and it might not be a significant other, it may be a mom, it may be a dad, it may you, and if you happen to be a single parent dealing with this, there are support groups nowadays on Facebook and like so you can join like Peanut and other communities where you can find that support group where if you just need somebody to pick up a phone and call and be like, listen, I just need somebody to hear me out. Nowadays with social media, they have that, so you can start there, you know, seek out answers that way. I like to journal, so I'll write out my problems, and I like to do methods of manifestation and try to manifest and, you know, visualize what my ideal life looks like, and know that, okay, me and my partner are working towards a greater goal. So there are going to be times where I may feel like I'm not getting as much support from him that I need, or as much, you know, care that I need from him, but I trust that, okay, his intentions are pure and what he's doing is for the greater goal. He's working toward the greater goal. Also, communicate. If you're in the partnership, I think that's something I had to learn too, where sometimes you have to communicate. Sometimes you have to tell your partner, hey, I need this. I need this space. I need help. I need this assistance. I need you to watch the baby for a few hours so I can get some work done. We need to come together to figure out how we can tag team and make this happen. You know, and then once I was able to do that, that has actually helped me forming that not only a better bond with him, but then it helped us, because now he knows, okay, okay, hey, there's times where Brit just needs to check out. She needs some space to herself. So I'm going to give her that space, let her take a nice little bath. I'm going to watch the baby, you know, and do what I can to make sure that she feels loved and supported, and vice versa. Alright, you guys, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you truly enjoyed this video. Definitely comment down below some of your favorite tips from this video. If you're a new parent and you have any tips of your own, please feel free to share that as well. And as always, I am sending light and love, and I'll see you guys in the next video.